Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in as we got the man, the myth, and the podcast legend, Bryan Bowden, with 11,845 podcasts broadcasting to you live. We're bringing spooky stories to the table tonight, and we'll see where it goes. I don't know. Dirty Filth is here with another crazy cartoon. Best part about tonight, we have each and every one of you, including, where is it here? Eternity Eternal in the gold medal position. Steve H, I believe, with a silver. Paramarv with a bronze medal. Kitty Caddywhack, race fan, how you doing? Frankie B, how are you? Thanks for coming on in. Thunderhead and Mel WD40, good to have you with us. Thank you, Mel, for kicking off the super chat tonight. We really appreciate your love and support. Robert Lamoth and Ann B, nice to have you back. I apologize that you had to eat breakfast for dinner. I feel sorry for your stomach, and I feel sorry for your fridge. And it's a bad social construct there, eating breakfast for dinner. Mickey G, how are you? Mama Catherine, how are you tonight? I love you, my dear. Mwah. Mwah. You get a double shot tonight. All right. Werewolf, thanks for coming on in. Luscious Jewels and Necessary Dialogue, good to have you here as we continue on with our roll call here. Lisa Smith, thanks for coming on in. Mama Catherine, thank you so much for that awesome super chat. You're the best. You're absolutely the best. Thank you. Hi, Luscious Jewels and Kimberly Jackshaw. Wow. There is a sight for sore eyes. Man, it's been a couple of years. I'm so happy you're back. Thank you. Let's see here. Oh, and she super chats too. Look at that. How wonderful. Thank you. And Kitty Caddywhack, thank you for that awesome super chat. Appreciate your love. Hippie Deidre, nice to see you. And Kathy Evans, thanks for coming on in. Paramarv, thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call here. Sorry, I'm a little slow tonight. Jaquetta, good to have you here. How come all the names have numbers on them tonight? Did YouTube do something again? Weird. Eternity Eternal, how are you? That's so weird. Operation Shutdown, nice to see you. And Doug Shelby is here. Good to have you here, buddy. Ginger Turtle, thanks for coming on in. Robert Skinner, nice to have you here. Welcome to SOR Chat. Alpine, what is that? Alpine Fur. Welcome to SOR Chat. Thank you for joining us. Sorry, my eyes suck. Leanne K. Helfrich. That's Candace. How are you? Karen in the Woo Train. Thanks for coming on in. Hi, J Truth Seeker. Jed Elvin, welcome to SOR chat. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a great lineup for you tonight. Spooky stories all night long. Bryan Bowden is here for the interaction. You may catch one of his 8,000 podcasts that are broadcast internationally each and every day. We're in roll call on our YouTube side right now. Al Garay, how you doing? Nice to see you. And D. Henderson, thanks for coming on in. 11, nice to have you here. And Jerry Carter, thank you for coming on in. Walter, good to see you. Here we go.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin in the woods, where together, my friends, we own the night. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to get spooky tonight as the man with 4,992 podcasts comes in. Bryan Bowden, one of our favorite guests around here, joins us for a look at some Halloween scariness. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will join us with a creepy story. Follow that up by Josh Rutledge, who will be in as the UFO wizard for the UFO report. Now, Bryan Bowden, you know him around here. He's been coming around about once a month for our cryptid world. And you know what's kind of cool is he decided to join us a week early because Varla Ventura will be returning to her spot after battling and winning. Yes, the key word there, winning against breast cancer. I'm very proud of her, and we should all be thankful that she's back. I know Bryan is very appreciative of it, but we love Bryan around here because he's an honest and true guy. He's an experiencer. He's an author. He's a storyteller. He's a researcher. He's a multi-podcaster, and he's been on numerous television shows talking about all things weird and strange. So we figured, you know what? I know you guys like him. You love his storytelling. I read the comments. I get the emails from our radio audience saying, hey, that Bryan Bowden, you know, I've listened to about 1,400 of his podcasts, and he's pretty damn good. So I figured we'd bring him in to get into the Halloween magic tonight. Here we go. Bryan Bowden, it is always a pleasure to have you on Spaced Out Radio, my friend.
It's great to be here. You know, I only have a few minutes because, you know, I got 45,000 podcasts going at once.
What's that?
So it's good to be here. It's good to see everybody in chat. It's actually interesting. I've been seeing this sometimes every once in a blue moon, with the names having numbers next to it. And I think it's more ways to clinically identify people. instead of allowing the spaces the numbers are in there. I don't know. It's getting weird. This whole planet's getting weird.
Well, I am going to say something here about our YouTube side because I actually really enjoy broadcasting live, not only on the radio, but on social media as well, in platforms like YouTube. But what's weird is I've watched my numbers dwindle hardcore lately. Hardcore. I think YouTube has changed their algorithms again. And so if you're listening on the YouTube side, do me a favor, give us a thumbs up, hit subscribe if you're new, okay? And after the show, leave a comment because we have almost 30,000 subscribers on YouTube for this show. And I've actually had a number of them messaging me recently saying, "Hey, Dave, are you still broadcasting every night?" I'm like, "Yeah, why wouldn't I? I'm the most consistent guy in radio in this field." Okay. And they're like, "Your shows are not coming up on my search anymore." I'm like,
That's
"What?"
weird. I've noticed that there's been some technical difficulties with YouTube, and it may have been part of that big blackout they had a couple days ago.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I even
And
tried it. Like I have a secondary YouTube account that I use for work. Okay. And I don't come on SOR stuff or anything like that because it's for my job.
Right.
When I'm training, I go on YouTube. And I decided to check it earlier today. Okay, to see, because every time I do a show, it pops up in my feed the next morning on my other YouTube channel. And I realized the last 4 or 5 mornings, it has not been popping up.
yeah, YouTube stopped alerting people that a show is starting.
Yeah.
They start, they play around with that, and that really has a detrimental effect on everybody in chat that follows you and even the program.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're doing it, and I know that a lot of shows that deal with subject matter that may not be the mainstream, although we're getting there. We are there with disclosure. It's almost like they're kind of like putting like the kibosh on it. They don't want it out, or they want to control the narrative, and they don't want you doing it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I had heard, and I don't know how true this is, but I have heard recently from a couple people who I know who have very large accounts. One of them has a couple million.
Jesus.
And he was telling me that YouTube is really changing their format due to the popularity of some of these extremely large channels. Example, Mr. Beast or somebody like that they're putting more effort into growing these channels and the audience that is watching their videos. And they're not worried about the people now who are, say, under 100 or channels that are under 100,000. And they're kind of trying to bury them in the background instead of letting them grow naturally. So I don't know how true that is. That is just what I've heard. And, from people who are much more observant and in tune with YouTube than myself. But hey, it is what it is. We could talk about that all night long, but let's get right to the heart of the matter. Halloween's coming up. Your favorite time of the season, Brian?
Yeah, actually it is my daughter's birthday. My oldest. She wasn't born on Halloween, the mischief night though, but she could have been. But I thought she would have hated it, and now I find out she would have loved it. So damned if you do, damned if you don't. But Halloween is a fast approaching. Actually, there's something very interesting coming up. I mean, if you want to talk about strange and weird and all this other stuff, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I know you broadcast to YouTube and you broadcast alternative platforms. I came across this on people were sending me this video of a mathematician talking about the 3 events that are going to happen on October 30th. The first event is the sun will be at solar maximum, and it's the most active in 20 years. Solar flares, magnetic pole reversals, the works there. Two, there's an interstellar object coming our way called 3I Atlas, which will reach its closest point to the sun on that day. And we're talking about a city-sized object from another star system, supposedly. Then you have the Earth magnetic field that's absolutely the weakest point in the cycle. Now, what he was saying is when this takes place, and he's predicting that 6.2 billion people are going to experience cosmic consciousness shift simultaneously. And the way he sees it is he does stuff with math. I don't know if it's a mathematician or we get like everybody's on the spectrum. So I'm not trying to offend anybody, but I have friends that just their job has nothing to do with math, but they focus on the Fibonacci sequence and ratios and the golden ratio. And I think he's been doing it, but basically what he says is the Earth frequency, which is the human resonance, is 7.3 hertz. And it could get amplified 10 times or more. So instead of it being 7.83 hertz, you're looking at 78 hertz. And that's hitting your brain, the planet at once. And then, he goes on to basically say that this is going to disrupt electronics, communications, you name it, your computer. And about 90,000 minds, 8 billion people out of the 8 billion that are on the planet, they're all going to synchronize at the same time. Total consciousness. And part of that is getting a higher consciousness, getting enlightenment, and also psychic abilities. And it's very interesting because there's a guy at Harvard, Avi Loeb, who's predicting that the 30th is going to be a major event in relationship to what's going on with 3I Atlas. So just think of the culmination of taking place right now. Imagine that happening. Like you just are bombarded by such, hertz, and some people are going to be, it's going to be a usual day for them. They may not even, stop in their tracks, but other people are going to be, it's going to be pretty interesting. It's fast approaching. So this Halloween could be really, really exciting. Why is Billy floating?
Have you seen Comet Lemon?
No, I have not seen Comet Lemon. Is that the one that's the second?
That's the one that's in the sky right now. It comes around every 1,300 plus years.
Yeah.
I watched it, took my binoculars out the other night.
Oh, that's what you were posting. Yeah.
Yeah, it was, I don't know. I kind of geek out on stuff like that.
No. I'm with you on that. I remember a long time ago, we had a comet in the sky for many months. And it's just, I geeked out on it too, because I wanted to study, astronomy and physics, and I love that stuff. I've always thought there was life on other planets, and there are life, outside of our solar system. Now, with all this hype going on, folks, about this 3I Atlas, I don't know what to believe anymore. Did you see the new photo? Supposedly out of Japan?
Yeah.
How do they have such a crisp image and all we're getting is little dots from everybody else?
Here is my thoughts now on any photo regarding something weird. Do yourself a favor and scroll past it.
Yeah.
There's nothing real anymore, guys. I said this a couple years ago, and I know many others. I'm not the only one, but I am going to say I told you so.
Yep.
Okay. AI is improving weekly, if not daily. It's not something that is taking its pancake syrup time, to pour out of the water or pour out of the cup and onto the pancakes. It's not like that at all. This stuff is, in my opinion, There is no UFO video, no 3i Atlas picture or video, even if it says it comes from an official source, that we could trust anymore. It's over.
I totally agree with you. 99% of Instagram is fake AI women and models.
You got caught, eh?
There's a ton of them all over the place. It gets annoying because I think they use certain models to test. And this is the problem when you investigate and you research this stuff as you do and I do, and 99% of your guests do. It used to be where you would get a video from somebody and it was in a weird format and it would like, wow, that's pretty good stuff. The Gables, pretty good. Now they can do things with it and it's getting so better and so realistic without those tells. Like it used to be 6 fingers on a hand, like the extra digits they would put in or the bluing of the mouth. But now they're getting really, really good at it. And unless I know the individual that took the video or the photo personally, I cannot trust any of it at this point. Especially, and even though they're putting in watermarks now, there's a new, I think there may be a law that was passed where you have to alert users or listeners or viewers that this is artificially generated, which makes it great for, so now at least there's something there, but who knows what it goes on. What programs do our black, the skunk works use to do things like this as well. I still, with this 3i Atlas, it goes back to that Corbell video and, him telling you very seriously, they're going to tell you there's a mothership and it's coming really slowly towards Earth. Don't believe them. I just feel like we're all being set up for this stuff. And we should get mad if they really do something stupid. I don't know if they could do Project Bluebeam at this point.
I don't know if we could take it that far, but you know what? It is something that is very, very interesting. Nonetheless, I mean, I want to ask you this in the scary, because we're talking scary stuff.
I got some stuff.
I know, but I want to ask you, Bryan, as we were talking about AI and the advancement in technology, can we now look at movies like Running Man, Terminator 2? Terminator 3 sucked. Let's just be honest. It sucked. Okay. But movies like that, can we now look at them as prequels to what we're experiencing in life?
100%. It's really unnerving what the technology is doing and what they're trying to, give you a great example is the Batwing that just came out. You see the ship?
Yeah.
It takes off. It doesn't need a runway. He's like 15 feet. You can put multiple out there. Self-autonomous. Can do amazing things militarily. That's the technology they reverse engineered. And that's where it's starting, but that if what you're seeing right now are robots or droids or whatever you want to call them, and some of them are looking almost human. That whole Terminator thing is not that far off. We've had situations. Here's something that should get you unnerved, because this happened to Facebook. It was Facebook that it happened to in their development. I think Google had the same problem. Maybe X, like Elon Musk. They create this artificial intelligence Then the artificial intelligence was introduced to talk to another artificial intelligence. And then they started having conversations. And then they started speaking binary, which you'd have to have a computer to kind of translate it. Then they made their own language because the artificial intelligence knew the humans were listening. And it was getting the things that were the communication that was taking place was getting on the border of, we don't need these humans. It's only a matter of time. That, my friend, is Skynet right there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? That's Skynet.
Here's another one to add to it. Total Recall.
Yeah.
But if I look at, if you look at AI, okay, if you look at AI and you look at the movie Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger, okay, remember Richard Dawson as the bad guy in there, right?
Yeah, just Sub-Zero's no zero.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, it's a great movie if you like action movies that are, I thought it was a great movie. But at the beginning scene where they called him the Butcher of Bayfield or whatever it was, where Arnold Schwarzenegger was a helicopter pilot, and in the real scene, he was they wanted him to shoot all the people on the ground that were begging for food. And he refused. He got pulled out of the cockpit and knocked out. And then they changed the story by AI, and they put him saying, screw you, in much different words. And he took his helicopter in with the machine guns on the people. Right. And that's where we are now with AI. We can't believe anything that AI shows us now.
100%. But let's add to this, because we do talk about extraterrestrials, and we do talk about other races, right? That are coming, or species, whatever you want to call them. I don't want to use certain terms because people may get offended by it, but with people that have gotten abducted and are allowed over time to remember the abductions, because maybe their psychology has gotten used to, like, all right, these are aliens. They're talking to me. They're telling me things. Why haven't we heard? This is where it gets really weird. Why haven't we heard anything about this AI technology and a warning to say, this is really bad, it's coming? Because I don't recall most people that have been interviewed, or even the hypnotherapy, where they mention anything about AI and the dangers of it, because this is dangerous. You're allowing a machine who gets its input from whoever their programmer is and whatever exists in the world currently. So you download the Library of Congress. I know what your main library is in Canada, but all of them, everything that has ever been written, you download it, and you're now allowing it to make choices based on it, trying to figure out, how life works down here. But it's always black and white. The problem, on these machines, we have a lot of, no pun intended for the gray aliens, a lot of gray in between. But we never hear anything. I bet you we hear it now after we just broadcast this on this show. We don't hear anything from all the people that come on and say, and they talk about they've been contacted by the Galactic Federation, and, there's nothing about AI. But now I guess we will, because I just mentioned it. Some people will come out and say it. Like,
you've definitely triggered it. Definitely triggered it.
Oh, 100%. It's good. Watch what happens. Because I hear about this stuff, and no disrespect to people, I don't believe in a Galactic Federation. I don't believe that is really nice and Star Trekky. Like not to interfere or whatever. I just don't believe it.
On that note, let's go to break here.
Sure.
At the bottom of the hour. When we return, we're going to get into some of Bryan's most haunted stories that have happened around the world. They're not just his. They're kind of stories from all around that we are learning about. This is Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. We will be right back, everybody. All right, we're clear.
Sure. Haunted stories.
Where'd Dirty Filth go? You frozen, Brian?
No, I was just reading something. I have sometimes some things pop up and I'm reading it. No disrespect to you, sir. I watched my freaking team tank tonight. What a dumpster fire this season's going to be.
Right.
Actually, some of the, some of the teams that I wasn't expecting to have anybody great are doing pretty good right now. But then again, there's like 900 games left, so
Gotta love it.
definitely.
Oh, for fuck's sakes.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I'm not very chatty tonight. I apologize, man.
Yeah. It's been a rough night for everybody.
Oh, man. A rough 24 hours.
Seriously. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah, the worst part about it is I got to go back to my daytime job.
Well, don't you have like a lottery you can play? Cross your fingers. Cross your toes.
I got told by about 9 different psychics that I would never win the lottery, so I don't play.
But that 10th psychic.
No.
So then you don't play, have somebody else play for you.
No.
Got something interesting that just came in and, that took place in Kentucky, which is interesting.
Hold on. Let's go back to Filthy because he's deciding to show up for work.
Oh, right, Filth.
Hello, Dirty. And there he goes again. I think he's having some computer issues. I'm just going to open up the window here.
Here comes Princess Vesta up down the aisle. Yeah, lotteries are pretty much scams.
I got my dad's friend about what was it, about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, won $1 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that tax free?
Up here, yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. Up here,
That's
it's
a lot of money. That's good tough. That's good times.
We're supposed to get a storm tonight that winds will get up to like 60 miles an hour.
Jesus.
Yeah.
See, someone just said, "Hey, Dave Scott, gambling 101," thinking you're not going to.
Well, I'm not saying I don't gamble.
Use it.
I'm just saying I just don't play the lottery.
Right. Someone has a Rottweiler barking at them. Well, bark back. I'll throw a couple of bucks. That's about it.
I shouldn't sit like that. I look like a fat pig. Somebody will make a comment or tell me to fuck off again.
You look good. Don't worry about it. A couple of laps around the ice, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Gotta find out when your hockey season's over so I can get you on the show.
I can go anytime, dude.
We can say whatever we want because I'm public radio.
All right, hold on one second.
Yeah.
Thank you to Mel, WD-40, Mama Catherine, Kimberly, Kitty, Marv, Oob times 2, Creepy Pasta, and Candace for the super chats. Here we go, everybody. Here we go, the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Spooky stories for you all. Brian Bowden is our guest, and we're going to bring him on momentarily. But first, we want to remind everybody that if you missed portions of this show or others, always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire. Check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Brian Bowden is here. He is a researcher, author. He's a podcaster of numerous podcasts, like in the thousands. Yeah, it's true. They're called the Brian Bowden Radio Network or Podcast Network. I apologize. Brian, welcome back. I know you love a good spooky story.
I do. Actually, I just heard something very recently. As you know, I'm part of the North American Dogman Project, and I was just made aware of this. So recently, there was a killing in Kentucky, allegedly by dogs. Basically, the police said it was a dog attack. But prior to this guy's wife getting attacked, like not that much longer, within 6 months, there was another woman that was attacked. Both women were killed.
Oh, weird.
So, no, it is really, really weird. And both women were attacked in the same area of Kentucky. So, the person more recently buries their wife, and about 2 weeks after, he ran into the paramedic who was there and asked them, how's his wife's condition. So apparently she was alive when he brought her in, and I don't think the husband was aware of it. So she must have died at the hospital before he got there. He wasn't aware. He gets the news, what have you. And the ambulance paramedic said that was not a dog attack. He was adamant about it. So he wouldn't even go any further. He said that wasn't a dog attack. And then just after that, he meets a guy who works for animal control. Mm-hmm. And the animal control guy goes, there is not a dog big enough in the air to take down a human being, let alone a woman, a grown woman. So right now we have, that's part of my region. I'm in Region 5. It's in Kentucky. I can't get there. But a friend of the show, Jody, is headed out there. He did interview, he was talking to the victim's husband about it, and he's going out there with a former police officer to get a little bit more color and information going out there. But imagine living in a community like that, where, they tell you there's a dog attack, and you're looking for dogs, but you're not looking for what really took out these people. We had something recently like that in Florida. Before the summer started, we had a bear attack in an RV, and the bear killed a gentleman and a young child. And, it was on the news. The police went out and they went hunting, and they caught some kind of bear within the area. But I know people that live near there, know the area cold, grew up there, and they will tell you There's never bears. There's never been bears in this area. And anything remotely that looked like a bear would not have the capability of getting into a building and ripping it to shreds and taking the lives of a normal average sized man versus a child. So this is some of the weird things that take place.
What's the scare outside of the LBL, the Land Between the Lakes? What's the scariest dogman story you've heard?
So a bunch of years ago, I was at the Jersey Shore, and I used to bring my kids there because they like to go to the boardwalk. And they had this 70 or something werewolf movie. There was one of two movies, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "Oh, werewolf movie. Yeah, I've seen that in real life." And some guy next to me, don't even know who he is. He goes, "You have?" I said, Yeah. I investigate that stuff. He goes, "Well, do you know what happened in the Pine Barrens?" And I'm like, "No." So he starts telling me there was a family that went on a 3-day weekend in the States, and they went camping in the Pine Barrens. I've been to the Pine Barrens. I've investigated the Pine Barrens. Very, very, there's a very strange feeling in those woods. And it's a mix of forest with waterways, and there's something about the energy there, and there's some bogs in there, and there's some swampiness in there. There's a weird vibe when you drive through that. You just feel like you're being watched 24/7. So he's telling me they went on a camping trip. They went to some campsite within the Pine Barrens, and there's a bunch of them there. And Monday comes, Tuesday comes, nothing. By Wednesday, the mother of the woman, the mother of the wife of this gentleman starts to get nervous, calling everybody. They don't hear anything from them. One of them happens to know a state trooper. So they say, "Listen, they went into the Pine Barrens to go camping. They sent, they told them the spot. And we haven't heard from them. Like, they should be home. The kids should be in school. They were missing school." Because the way it's set up, if your child's not in school down in Jersey, they were getting telephone calls. So you get it to not only the parents, but whoever else is your emergency contact will get telephone call that so-and-so wasn't there. So they go and investigate it, and they discover a campsite that has been ripped to shreds. Blood everywhere and body parts. Everything. I mean, soon as I started hearing what this guy was saying, they found pieces of body parts 20 feet up into trees. Huge. I mean, bigger than a bear. Scratch marks cutting through the car and the campsite. It was totally torn to shreds. So the guy that's telling me the story happens to have a cousin who's a state trooper who told him this. So what took place in the Land Between the Lakes with that family, and I believe it did take place. I don't believe there was an eyewitness. I don't believe that story at all. The same event took place in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. And this had to have been, I would say, no more than 5 years ago.
How many people were?
It was a husband, a wife, two little boys, and a daughter. That was like 4-year-old daughter. It was a 6-year-old twins, and then like a 4-year-old female, if I remember correctly.
That's terrible.
It's beyond terrible, especially if you're a family person alone, or you have nieces or nephews, if you can't relate to being a parent, just bang your head against the wall. It's kind of the same thing. Being a parent. sometimes they can drive you nuts, but, and there was a couple of sections because one of the brothers of my fraternal organization, I said, whatever, I asked him about it. I'm like, what took place in the Pine Barrens, XYZ years ago. And he goes, what are you talking about? And he's like, I told him, he goes, hold on, I'll go find out. And no one would talk. It was under wraps. And the location was sealed off for a bit. They cleaned up. They got everything out. And they labeled it a bear attack, but not in the East Coast. We don't have that kind of, don't get me wrong, bears will attack. They're wild animals, but it's not like up in like some of the big brown bears and, the grizzlies that you guys kind of get up in the Pacific Northwest.
Well, here is the scariest or one of the scariest dog man's encounters from real people on Reddit, because I love these Reddit stories.
Oh, yeah. I didn't hit Reddit today at all.
So I'll read it to you.
Yeah,
I was with a friend in her truck, and we were driving home on a winding mountain road in western North Carolina Appalachians. Well, obviously now you know it's real after the Appalachians got mentioned. There were no streetlights, and it was pitch dark. We noticed another truck heading towards us suddenly swerve into our lane. My friend hit the brakes and laid on the horn, and the truck creeped back over. We were a bit shaken and slowly began moving forward. It was then when we saw why the other truck had veered into our lane. There was a huge deer carcass in the middle of the road, and crouched over it was a gigantic animal. As we drove very slowly, my friend put her bright lights on. What looked like a gargantuan wolf was bent over the carcass, eating it, very long front legs with little fur on them. I've worked with wolves, and I've never seen one this huge. It suddenly looked up at our truck, and the headlights caught it fully. Black fur, muscular forearms, and golden orange eyes that looked really human. I remember we both made gasping noises. My friend kept driving, and then we turned and looked at each other and both said, that was a werewolf. She was not at all a person who believed in any sort of supernatural stuff. We drove the rest of the way home in silence. We only spoke about it one time after that, and it was to compare what we had seen. At the time, I had no idea about Dogman, and I had totally forgot about it until 2 years ago when one showed up in my backyard. I'm happy to share that encounter if anyone is interested. And I haven't found that. Okay, here's that encounter. Do you want that one too?
Yeah, I want to see the similarity.
Okay, so here's the second encounter.
I'd
bought a house in the mountains in a quiet, established neighborhood within walking distance of the town center. After moving in, I was adopted by a cat. She was dumped by one of the neighbors, and even though I'd never had a cat, I love animals. She had been outside her whole life, 12 years at that time, so I was slowly introducing her to hybrid indoor-outdoor life. It was October. It had gotten chilly, so I would bring her in at night before I went to bed. So she usually was waiting at the back porch to be let in. I flipped on the porch light and stepped outside. You know how you can experience a flurry of events in seconds, but it feels like in slow-mo? Well, it was like another part of me was watching what I was doing in slow motion playback. And this is what happened. I felt something supernatural before I saw it. The feeling is undeniable and consistent for me, like I'm on that gravity drop ride at a carnival. The top of my head feels like a hive of bees on it, and I'm instantly totally present. There was a gigantic black animal in the backyard. My back porch is up off the ground with about 5 steps down, so I was seeing this from a higher vantage point. My first thought was bear, because I had chased black bears out of my yard on occasion, but I never ever, but never the backyard, and it was this thing, and this thing was bigger than a bear. It had jet black fur and was snuffing loudly on the ground as if trying to pick up a scent. The cat was not on the porch, and I wondered if this animal snatched her. So anger boiled up at me pretty fast. Again, this happened all in seconds. So I yelled, "Hey!" and scared the hell out of this thing. It yelped in surprise and spun to take off. It was so big and so fast that it hurt its back paw out of a clump or tear out a clump of grass as it took off. On it, it was impossible, ridiculously fast. And if you've ever seen a bear run, they can be quick, but they have kind of a wobble and a bounce when they're running. This thing took off in a streak. I was not thinking anything other than find my cat. So I ran into the house, threw it, and burst through the other door yelling, "You MFer, if you killed my cat, I will strangle you with my hands." I saw it dive behind the hedges across the street. I caught the tail end of it. It was a long, bushy tail. I stood in front of my yard, still not registering that this thing was gigantic, that could easily kill me. It poked its head halfway around the hedge to peek at me as it looked exactly like a wolf. Then it took off again. I was frantically running around the house calling for my cat, and she was nowhere to be seen. I got in my car and drove around the neighborhood looking for her and figuring if I saw this thing, I could report it. When I got home, the neighbor's dog was outside in their fenced backyard. He was right near the spot the wolf had been in my yard, and he started pawing at the ground, digging and howling. I'd never seen him act that way before. I kept circling the house looking for my cat. I was standing out front when she came into the yard from the neighbors. She walked up to me, looked terrified, puffed fur, huge eyes. I picked her up. At that point, she wasn't into being held, and she looked, she locked her paws around my neck and clung to me for about 10 minutes, shaking. She had never done anything like that. And I had witnessed her casually hanging out 10 feet from a giant male bear before. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I was thinking about the thing me and my friend saw on the road that night 2 years earlier. I started searching werewolf and going down the rabbit hole. I posted it on my neighborhood forum, and a guy commented, "Thank God I'm not crazy. That thing passed in front of my car a few nights ago at 2:30 in the morning, and it was so big, thought I was hallucinating." I eventually found Dogman and even had a pre-interview with Vic Cundiff. I kept having dreams that I should not go on, and this wolf would come back if I talked about it. I was spooked. I decided to go through with it, but Vic Cundiff spaced the appointment, which I gather is unusual for him. So I saw it as a sign just to not share the story on his show. Thankfully, I've never seen it again, but I will never forget the bizarre energy that surrounded that being and how it affected me.
So, I have a couple of problems with that story. If you've ever seen this thing in person, you're not running out going, I'll kill that MF or boo, or you're not going to make a sound. I promise you. I promise you. I don't care. No, it's not going to happen. You have no idea how ginormous these things are, and the fear factor alone, just by their physical appearance, whether they're good or bad, you're not making a sound. You may urinate yourself, and at that point, you don't care about your cat. And another problem I have with it is I've been on Vic's show all the time. I know how Vic operates. And if you're actually going to be interviewed, if Vic is calling you or contacting you, and they said they did a pre-thing, well, Vic records you right then and there. Vic doesn't call you back to do the interview. He will call you and he will say, "Tell me your story," and he records you, because some people are nervous when they speak publicly. So when they don't know that they're actually being recorded, they naturally will retell the tale. Something about that is a little bit off for me. I don't know. I mean, I don't think I would be as forward as he or she is if we had a dog man in the backyard like that. I mean, I'd be filming it the best I could, but I sure as heck would keep my family away from it.
I don't know if it's a dog man either. I think
Yeah.
it's more a wolf that she saw, a giant wolf. And let me tell you why. A lot of these giant wolves that are being seen are, they're dog man size. There are wolves out there that if they're standing on their hind legs are reaching 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Yep.
Especially if they are the leader of their pack. Okay.
Well, yeah. So one of my friend has a Malamute, and she's a sweetheart, big dog. If she stands up on her hind legs, she's about 7.5 feet tall.
Yes.
And she's massive.
Absolutely.
So I know about the other wolves. It's very reminiscent. I like where you got it from too, because Reddit's you got a lot of gray area on most stories, and then you get the sweet spots that are there. Dogman eating an animal in the middle of the road, heard that before. Actually, when I had my encounter in Maryland during Thanksgiving break in the US, and this must have been 2017, 2018, I was standing outside of a hotel, Hampton Inn, having my cigarette. We're on the first floor. There's a pathway, and it's a game trail, and you can see it's arching. The trees arch. It's really tall. But in the distance, I saw the amber eyes. And I'm like, they're getting bigger and bigger, and they're coming. It was a significant distance. There's also a railroad track that goes behind the hotel. So I'm sitting there and I'm watching this, and while I'm there, like, this is getting a little weird, creepy. Like, this has a dog man kind of vibe to it. I search on my phone, werewolf sightings, Elkton, Maryland. And right around the corner from that hotel, I mean, literally up the couple of roads, husband and wife were coming back. It was late at night. They saw this, what they thought was a wolf eating something out of the roadkill. It stood up on its hind legs, had amber eyes. But the difference is, this couple said that if they felt like the creature was in their brain, like knew everything about them, and it was talking to them, you need to go, like warning, get out of here. And they had nightmares after nightmares after that encounter. And that was just around the corner. And I had one coming forward, and then I heard one creeping up on the left-hand side. And that was when, as soon as I get the goose pimples, I'm gone. I'm out. I know something bad's going to happen. And I think I was being they were going for me. I did talk to Vic Cundiff about it. And he goes, well, what's interesting is what most people don't realize is a lot of dogman sightings happen by individuals who smoke outside their house. The dogman is attracted to the tobacco. And it's also an opportunity. Single person, or walking their dog, real easy to prey, to grab.
That is very true. I mean, that on First Nations legend, that in order to, when you go into the forest, first thing you need to do is burn tobacco in order as a peace offering for what is out there. And that's what we do when we go out there. So the fact that Dogman would be attracted, it makes sense. We're down 1 hour already on Spaced Out Radio. Spooky Stories with Brian Bowden on Spaced Out Radio. This is
is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott.
All right, Filthy, it's all yours, buddy.
I got everything working, Dave. I had to swear a whole bunch, and Mrs. Filth is like, "Could you calm down a little bit?"
Sounds like your computer had some gout.
I had to decide to
AWC.
reboot. Hello,
Sorry.
WC. Hello,
WCDP 35.
WCDP 35. How's it
Yes.
going there? How's it going, Mr. Bowden?
It's going. It could be better. You know,
Well, it could always be better, no matter what. Even if you had all the kingdoms in the castle, or all the castles in the kingdoms.
yeah, you know, but just tired. A lot of work. I'm doing another conference presentation for a movie, The Vanishing, coming up in January, and
Ooh.
I've been to a couple other conferences, and we're getting ready for the you know, I don't go out with the kids anymore. Halloween, they go with their friends.
Oh
Yeah, they go with their friends.
One of my best pals, he lives in Nebraska, and I was like, "Me, Bob, you doing any?" Excuse me. I go, "Me, Bob, you doing any Halloween?" He's like, "Oh, no, Filthy. I don't really do Halloween." I'm like, "You know what I'm gonna do, me, Bob? I'm gonna buy both. I'm gonna move to America. I'm gonna buy both the houses on either side of you and do the best Halloween stuff, just to embarrass you to do Halloween things."
I mean, we have a
I have a-
really cool setup, you know, but kids don't do it like they used to do it. Like we used to go to as many houses as possible and then, you know, move to another. Well, we did it in buildings, apartment buildings, and we go to every floor, every door, and then we go to the next building and the next building. And kids are lazy.
Those
They don't
fatties
do
should get out there and go for a jog once in a while. Fatties. Sorry,
Yeah.
shouldn't say that. But you know what? It's the same thing here. Like they do at West Edmonton Mall. It used to be the biggest mall in the world, but they do a Halloween thing, and everyone just goes to the stores and they get all these like little special discounts and whatever, and they hand out treats to kids and
Yeah.
whatnot. But I don't know.
They
Back in
do.
the day, you used to go out there and freeze your ass off and get yourself some candy.
It is totally different, you know, in the States, and then, you know, between you know, whatever border in Canada. I mean, it's supposed to be cold down here. It's supposed to get like 40 degrees in Florida.
Well, I'm kind of jealous because you get to wear your Halloween costumes. In Canada, it's like, oh, at least in Edmonton, it's like, well, it's cold out, and you got to put your clothes on and bundle up, and then you don't really get to wear your cool Halloween costume that you got.
my last Halloween costume, I got a Bigfoot costume, but when I put it on 2 years ago, it was 93 degrees outside at night.
Good
I was
gods.
dying.
There's just a bucket of sweat walking around.
It was just, you know, the type of sweat that gets in your eyes. Like, I can't see. Yeah. Like like a horror film. Like, I got sweat in my eyes. I can't see. Like, kill. You know, he's coming. Type of stuff. Yeah, it's kids do stupid things down in Florida. They wear ski masks and they do the kick in the door type of thing. Not a good idea when everybody in the state.
I was supposed to say,
firearm has
Florida,
a
it's like
firearm.
you're gonna boot someone's door, and the guy's got like,
Not a good thing.
he's got like a MG42 mounted at his doorway.
Yeah, I you know.
I don't know if you guys got MG42s mounted in your doorways, but if I lived in Florida, I'd probably have one myself.
Oh, you would have so many toys.
In Canada, we're allowed to have pop guns. You get to
There
put
you
the cork in the end and call it a day.
Yeah, well, until they want to recall those. But the best part about Florida, Florida is it. You have your concealed carry, you can carry on investigations. I do all the time. Florida is a hot place. Jose Sanchez. It's super hot. But when we go in, I mean, every one of the guys that's on the team that I'm part of, he's a former forensics NYPD, and he's a great guy. And he carries multiple weapons on him. A little jumpy at certain points.
Well, he's from New York, right? Can you expect any less from
Well,
this
yeah,
guy?
New York and police. So am I. I'm like, but it's you have to be prepared because nobody wants to hurt an animal on an investigation, but we do have predators that we big kitties, big kitties down in Florida. Actually, one was probably, I don't know, a couple blocks from my house, Florida Panther.
20 seconds here, guys. So just
Sure.
bear with me. Thank you, Mel WD40, Mama Catherine, Kimberly, Kitty Cattywhack, Paramarv, Joe ×2, Creepy Pasta, Candace, Walter, Joe, again. Thank you for the hat trick. And Blue Cruise and Luscious Jewels. Thank you. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Greatly appreciate you tuning us on in for a spooky night of stories with Bryan Bowden coming on up here momentarily. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kalology. Kalology is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our good friend Bryan Bowden is here. He's a podcaster. He's a researcher and author. He has been on numerous television shows talking everything from Bigfoot and Dogman to alien and ghost encounters. He is here with us tonight to share some creepy stories as we head into Halloween. And thank you, Bryan, for being here tonight.
It's my pleasure being here. And you were talking about creepy stories and something that just, I don't know why I'm extremely exhausted from today. I've been doing some interviews the last couple of days and just can't catch up with the sleep. But something I've actually noticed, but only when it was brought to my attention. I have a buddy up in New York, and he calls me, and he does food related work. So he gets clients from like restaurants, whatever, sells them higher end food. Then they set up the delivery, but he's always walking and moving and grooving. And he said this happened 2 different ways. He was watching a woman crossing the street, an old woman with a push cart, like a carriage. It's one of those foldable carriages. It all opens up in a basket and you can stick your food in there and carry your groceries back. And he's watching her, and she's just something caught his eye about her. Older lady, middle of Manhattan. He's in a store. He looked away for a split second, and she's in the middle of like a major, I think it's like 2nd Avenue, which is at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lanes. It takes a while to get across from one side to the other. And this woman's older. She's not walking that fast. And he looks at her and he's like, oh, she's probably going to get hit. He's getting a little bit nervous. He answers the question. He turns back, literally goes, if it took 3 seconds, it was long. That woman just disappeared. That I ran out. I thought she got hit by a car. And he ran out and she just disappeared. Another time this happened to him, he's walking around the corner. We walk pretty quick in the city. And he's running a little bit late to a meeting. He comes around the corner and he's following a guy that makes the same turn, the white t-shirt, red jacket, makes the turn. He's right behind him. As soon as he turns, the guy's gone. Then I get people. I went to a conference out on the West Coast, and I was talking to some people out there, and people are talking about seeing people and it's people glitching. And I'm like, what do you mean glitching? Like, is your camera? He goes, no, they glitch. And you ever see a glitch on film?
Yes.
And he goes, it's like a glitch on film. And I'm like, wait a minute, explain this to me. You go someplace, you see people, and they it's almost like they're phasing in and out. So I've got to ask the questions. I said, just curious, do you partake in any type of activities that may be illegal, illicit activities, drug use? Like, no, we don't do any of that. And like, you've seen this? She goes, I've seen it several times. So I'm perplexed by it. I have not seen that before. The only time I had that was in New York City. It was dusk, and had a fight upstairs with my kid's mom. I was pissed. I left the apartment, went down 7 stories, and I'm standing against a car in front of my building smoking a cigarette. I am like beyond upset. And this woman, I didn't even see her walk. We have a street that I'm on is lower. It's a big hill, 45-degree hill. And then there's another street, same name, that is an upper version of the street. So I'm standing there. Most people go down the street because we have what they call Metro North. And it's a commuter train, not the subway, and it takes you to Grand Central Station. So normally if you were in the morning, you'd see everybody walking down there. Ladies with flip-flops are always sliding all over the place and tripping because they got to wear their flip-flops. But I'm standing there. It's dark. We have a street lamp there. And I'm fuming, Dave. And this woman of color walks and she smiles at me and says, have a great night. And immediately it just caught me off. It was weird. I didn't see her even come around this open area. Like, where did she come from? And I'm like, I instantaneously I calmed down and I made me feel better. It was a nice smile. It was wonderful. I turned around, gone. And I will swear to anything that was a guardian angel or something to that effect, because it was instantaneous the way I reacted to that. I became polite. I didn't want, I'm not there to, if you're having a bad day, doesn't mean that you have to take it out on anybody. That's not part of the problem or the equation. But this entity, this individual, this woman, out of nowhere, and it was literally 5 steps, she smiles at me, and as she gets me, she doesn't know who I am. We're not that friendly in neighborhoods sometimes. In New York, you're not always that friendly. And she said, have a great night, and walked. And I turned immediately to, like, where did you come from? And she was gone. It had to have been somebody of a higher power.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's really weird when I've had that. I've had something recently like that. I told you, well, I'll tell you again. Last year, this is kind of scary. My car had 666 come up on the odometer. I met a guy. Apparently, some guy contacted me on TikTok, one of my old accounts, and he was Middle Eastern. There's something about him that looked like off. It looked very dark, not nice. But it also reminded me of the guy that played the devil in an episode of The Twilight Zone called The Howling Man, my favorite episode, where the guy transforms from a human being man into the devil. He had the same beard and mustache, same look. It was off. That guy contacts me. The name of the guy is called A Star. What is Lucifer? The morning star. I'm getting a vibe about satanic activity or evil around. I get contacted by another person. We're being attacked. Be prepared. Surround yourself with God. This is coming out of nowhere. My emails come up. The total number, the last 3 digits are 666. I'm like, this is crazy. The guy, somehow, he said, he started a little chat with me. I don't even remember doing anything on TikTok to even initiate anything with this person. But sometimes, like, I'll follow somebody, they post a good video, boom. You know, it's like a bookmark without a bookmark. I'll just see who my followers are and remember it. And then he starts talking about taking off my head. Taking off my head. So I'm like, okay, this is really odd and weird. I'm like, my car then dies. Couldn't get there. Number I have to call, 666. I'm like, here we go again. Just having an off feeling that we're under attack by something evil. And I said, you know what? I need a break from this stuff. So I go back and I have a TV in my office and I go watch the old movie Running Scared. You remember Running Scared? Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines. 2 cops over in Chicago. Great movie. It's a classic. And I'm sitting there. It's about 10 something at night. And the camera pans down in the movie. And it's the big cross in Chicago on the side of a building, Jesus Saves. Then it zooms into Billy Crystal, Gregory Hines, the other actor, and the third actor. Forgot his name, but he was the pimp in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. You would know who he is. He's usually bald. And they're walking in front of the 666 lounge. So I'm like, dude, I've had enough. I'm done. I don't normally do treats. I said, I got to get out of the house. I'm going to go get some, a treat. Get in my car, drive out of the gate of this community, and go down what would be equivalent of 6 blocks in New York. There's a gas station, gas and sip, racetrack. Back the car up. I'm like, this is all weird. Outside, 10:45 at night, there's a man of color sitting there wearing mirrored sunglasses and a blood red shirt. And he's sitting, and I'm by my car, and I'm at a distance. So I start walking over to him, and he goes, excuse me, can I get to the Bright Line from here? That's the train that, I go, yeah, if you go down this road, you get to the Bright Line. He goes, oh, I can walk it, right? I said, no, man, you can't walk that. You need a ride. And he gives me this look, and I am looking dead at this guy. And Dave, I would swear on a stack of Bibles, I was talking to the devil himself.
Oh, that's scary.
I'm not kidding. I can't explain it. The vibe, the feeling, that creepy smile he gave me. He was really nice. And it was like, he wanted me to say, I felt like he, I should ask him for a ride. You want a ride? I'm like, no. So I'm like, no, something's not right here. I leave, I go inside. I get a Fanta, 20-ounce bottle of Fanta, and a Twinkie, which will be in me for the rest of my life. Go up to the register and I go to pay for it. You want to know how much that was?
666.
Yes, it was. Can't make that up. And I have to go back out the door where he's sitting. And I literally go out the door, and under my breath, I'm like, not today, Satan. And I just went right back to my car.
Not today, Satan.
Not today, Satan.
Well, let's get to a story from Reddit here.
Yes, Reddit is good.
Okay. I once house sat a very old manor home that was near the Mason-Dixon line. The location becomes important later in the story. Built in the mid 1700s, like a lot of houses that old, it did have a root cellar sub basement deep under the house that was used for food storage back in the day. I always just got the weirdest and most forbidding feeling walking past that door leading down to it. I actually never went down there. It was a very big house that had many additions put on over the years, so it had multiple alarm systems. And one night, the alarm system in the original part of the house, where the door to the root cellar was not stopped going off. I probably got out of bed 6 or 7 times to enter the code to turn it off that night. It was an older alarm system, so I figured, probably old wiring or a part of it's going bad or something, and didn't really think much other than being annoyed by it keeping me awake. When the family got back from vacation, I told the father about the night the alarm kept going off, and he looked very puzzled. He told me that it's never happened before in the several decades they had lived there. And even weirder, because it was an older alarm system, and in that part of the house, all of the alarms were motion activated. I later found out the house was right down the street from a Quaker meeting house in the area with a high Quaker population that was well known for its role in the Underground Railroad. Families in that area would routinely let people escape slavery hiding in their root cellars and sub basements. My family is ancestrally Quaker, and the family who lived there was not. Still gives me the chills thinking about it.
It's very interesting. That's what do you think?
I believe that
Waves
one.
coming out of the cellar.
I totally believe that one. It's not overly creepy, but it really goes to show that there's history there. I do want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
One of the new things that Tesla owners are doing is they're taking their vehicles into graveyards. And apparently the sensors on the vehicle, and I don't know how true this is or if this is an AI thing going on. Okay.
Yep.
But apparently the sensors are picking up spirit activity walking around the cars. What do you think about that?
It used to be I forgot the damn name of the product because they changed it to, remember on Xbox, the eye that we used to have, the bar?
Yes.
It's the same technology. It's picking up spirits. They're picking up exactly what you're seeing there. They're picking it up. I forgot the name of it. I had it, and everybody uses them to do those like stick figure investigations.
Yes.
XLM or XLR, whatever it is.
Camera.
XLS. And you can buy them now for like $1. Like, but that technology that Microsoft purchased was supposed to be used for surgeons to do surgery globally anywhere in the world. And it was such a sensitive camera right out of the gate, by the way, that it can detect your blood pressure through the lenses on it. So I'll give you something very similar to Connect. That was it. Thank you very much. I knew it was one of those things. For some reason, I kept going like Xbox Eye, but because no one uses it anymore, but everybody else has other things using it. They use it for. I thoroughly believe that they are capturing those entities on those cameras. I 100%. The computer is set. There is something going on in that program that is picking up on whatever the energy signature is of the spirits. And I will tell you, in my apartment, when I hooked up the Connect, I'm playing one night. It's just me and the missus. She's sleeping. I've got a wall behind me. Nobody's in that apartment but me and this woman. The dog's even in the crate. So I shut off all the lights, put on the game. I forgot what I was going to play. Put on the Connect, and it sees you, and you can map you to the camera. So like if you and I were playing, you would map yourself and they'd know that's Dave, that's Brian. You know, welcome to the Dave and Brian Xbox Connect channel, whatever. But anybody that would come into the view of that camera, it would say new user and it would follow him. And I turned that thing on and I had a new user right next to me. It was the weird, I looked and it was the stick figure. You could see that there was something there. But then again, my apartment was like Grand Central Station for the paranormal. I have a glimmer man in there. I had a little, what looked like a burst. A little guy comes popping out 2.5 feet above the ground near my tub and looks at me. I look at it and it jumps back in and the closes. And it was so bad in that apartment that even my girl that was there, she doesn't believe in any of this stuff. She saw it. She goes, do you see that? And we saw a glimmer man hiding behind. We came back we went on vacation. We had those 2 big rolling stroller, suitcases.
Mm-hmm.
Again, watching TV, rolling suitcase. And she sees something like popping, moving over. She's looking. She goes, you see that? And I see something that looks like it's glimmering. I said, I don't know. Maybe it's you're catching the light's catching on the leash or whatever it is. So she gets up. She goes to bed. And then I start watching TV again. Then I see it pop up and I can see it out of the peripheral. And it's a shape. It's a physical shape of a person, but they have like that predator kind of cloak on and it's shimmering. And they want to go to the right. And I'm like, dude, I see you. Just go. And he sheepishly goes, like he does the double take, like what to do. And then, yeah, go. And he starts walking towards the other luggage. And I'm like, I'm trying to watch TV. I'm trying to play a game. Leave me alone. It's the weirdest thing. I mean, most people, if they saw that, they would soil their shorts. I know tons of people would. I know people that talk a big game, but when it comes to some of the paranormal stuff, not that I'm, trust me, when you get Bigfoot encounters and stuff, it gets unnerving too. Yes, I asked for it. Yes, I went out there to look for it. Yes, we're doing certain things to bring or try to draw them in. When you have that one-on-one encounter, it is unnerving, but I know people that would just be crying. They would. I have 2 friends that they won't talk to me anymore because of their encounter with the dogman. I told you guys at one point. So these scary stories are great, but I love that story. Like, it not only did the alarm go off, but that was a motion detection center. That's like that old one, like, ma'am, the killer's in the house, that old horror story where the guy's calling from upstairs. That's good, scary stuff.
We got just under a minute to go here before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. It is Brian Bowden here on Spaced Out Radio. Brian, when you have things manifesting in your house, I mean, your own senses get pretty worked up on that. Like you're picking it up like you would an old rabbit-eared television with the antennas going on.
Oh, yeah. I had something like that when I did my show this Wednesday. We were talking to some Dan Mallow. He does Paranormal Yacker. And I was thinking an image of my grandmother came into my head and I smelled toast. And you could see it because I keep the chat on my stuff. And someone said toast. And I said, yeah, toast. I'm smelling toast. So then I texted, is anybody cooking anything outside? Nope, no one's cooking anything. And it's the same smell I would get in my grandmother's house. It was really, really weird. It was nice, because she was a great lady, but holy cow, that was weird.
We have Brian Bowden for another half an hour here on Spaced Out Radio, talking spooky stories, spooky alien encounters, when we return on the mighty SOR with the king of the podcast, Brian Bowden.
listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
That happened with my daughter when she was about 4 months old. My grandfather, who I was really, really close to,
Yeah.
he never got to meet her because he passed away in 1995 and she was born in 1999. And I picked her up one day, and my grandfather used to love fixing lawnmowers and old gardening tools like the threshers and the clippers and all of this kind of stuff, right? And I remember one of the smells that I remember as a kid was his shop. It always smelled like old grass mixed with oil and gasoline and grease. And I loved that place, right? And one day I picked up my daughter. She was about 4 months old. And I picked her up, and she reeked like my grandfather's shop. She hadn't crapped her pants, nothing. She just smelled like my grandfather in his shop. Yeah. And I was bawling my eyes out, right?
Yeah.
And I call up my grandma and I said, "Grandma, you're not going to believe this." And I told her what happened, and she starts laughing, and she goes, "What did you expect?" And I said, "What?" She goes, "Well," because she calls me with her Ukrainian accent. She calls me David, right?
Yep.
And she goes, "David, your grandfather always wanted a daughter.
Yeah.
He got 3 boys." And she goes, "So it's no wonder that he is there for his granddaughter, because that's what he wanted in life."
It's interesting. My dad passed away. My 2 kids were sharing the same room, and one had a single and one had to climb up these stairs to get to the top of double decker. And both of them complained they felt like someone took their finger and poked them in the ribs. And I started laughing. That's exactly what my dad would do. And my oldest, who knew my father and lived for him, my dad was smitten with my daughter, my oldest daughter. And that is something, he thought it was hysterical. It was very painful, but he would just put his finger in your ribs. Like, what are you doing? And that was, affection or whatever it was. But,
Right.
And she kind of got it because he used to do that. I said, "Well, what do you think it was?" And she goes, "I think it was Biba." And I said, "Yeah, you're probably right." So the younger one didn't really get a chance. So I'm at the tail end, and it wasn't great. But I love that. I love that story. He always wanted a daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, he was probably with her up there.
Probably.
And like, "I'm going to be with you, kid. Don't worry about it."
Right.
That's great, though.
Yeah, it was a good story.
Yeah. There's times like, you need the help of somebody. It happened to me before the summer. And I just going through something and really good. Like, "Dad, I really wish you were here." Just outside of my back porch. Next thing you know, I was smelling a cigar. I'm like, "Holy crap, he's here."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great, Phil. It's like
All
the
right,
Bee
we got
Gees, but if they were
45
cats.
seconds.
No problem. I'll quiet.
Thank you tonight to Mel WD-40, Mama Catherine, Kimberly, Kitty Caddywhack, Paramar, Oob, Creepy Pasta, Candace, Oob, Walter, Oob, Jules for the gift of a super membership, Blue Cruise, Oob, Mel WD-40, and Tim for the membership gift to somebody as well. Thank you very much, everybody.
That is awesome.
Here we go, bud, in 5 seconds. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you miss portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. He's Brian Bowden. I'm Dave Scott. We're here talking creepy stories for warming you up for Halloween. Brian, welcome back.
It's great to be back.
You ready for an alien encounter story?
Yeah, let's go.
Right.
I could use another alien encounter.
Well, this is from somebody called Appalachian Wind. I don't know what it is with the Appalachians in this show recently. Everything seems to be around there. Okay. It's the first time I've ever tried to write this down. First time telling anyone outside the family. I'm leaving out time and location and some other details because I'm still scared of what might happen with it publicly, I guess. Summer before 8th grade, me and two of my friends snuck out at midnight to go walk around the neighborhood and go see these girls on the next block who were having a sleepover. We turn a corner in our neighborhood and there is this huge black blimp-shaped thing in the sky. Like a picture of the Hindenburg, but bigger than that and as close, if not closer. Completely silent and the size of at least 4 to 5 football fields across. No exaggeration, even though I was young. We stare at it entranced, asking each other over and over again if we are seeing what we think we're seeing, and we all agree that we do. Standing there, frozen in one place. It's like a black polished gunmetal, no lights, no sound, no anything. It's just hovering there. And then I don't know what happened, but time clearly jumps. Next thing I remember is the craft, ship, government experiment, whatever you want to call it, has gone, and there's a little tiny glowing white barbell thing in the sky, seemingly slowly falling to earth with whiffs of smoke coming off of it. Then two brand new black trucks with silver gearboxes on the back, like F-150s or S-10s, but nicer, came speeding down the street, going about 70 in a residential 25 miles per hour neighborhood. Then after that, I remember walking home with one of my friends, and we were going to his house and going to bed. At that point, it was like 5 or 6 a.m. The sun was coming up. We all made a promise to tell my dad in the morning because he worked for the city, but we never did. I don't know what happened later in life to one of my friends who was there, but the other was my best friend, and we sort of made an unspoken pact to never talk about it. I don't know whether or how, why we did that, but we did. We all grew up and sort of lost touch with him too. We did reconnect over Facebook and such over the years, but it was like there was something between us neither of us really wanted to touch or talk about. Looking back now on it, it was like there was something that happened that we just couldn't figure out. It was in a heavily populated area, a suburb of a major city. The idea of this has always scared me more than any sort of amnesia, except how we were not under amnesia, under hypnosis. I've thought about the hypnosis, but that scares me a little too much. Plus, I'm not sure I'd trust the results. I was just a kid then, and I'm not sure I could trust a hypnotist. Now, what do I know? Again, is that there's no way it was just the three of us who saw this. We were talking a huge hovering thing in the sky directly above hundreds of houses just after midnight on a summer weekend, but nothing on the news, nothing in the paper, nothing on TV, no words spoken ever again.
That's kind of interesting. How old was the kid again?
Well, he was in like grade 8 when that happened. So he'd have been what, 13 years
I
old?
was 13. Yeah, that would unnerve probably some of the kids. I'm like, I don't want to talk about that. I'll tell you when the UFO flew over my house and I called my daughter in, was she was having a sleepover with 3 of her 12-year-old friends. One of them, they got nervous. You can hear it in the video. Like, you can hear how they were not happy about what was taking place. It scared the hell out of them. But thanks to her, my daughter stuck up for me. Like, they're like, how do you know it's UFO? I'm like, that's my dad. This is what he does, which is great, But there were 4 12-year-olds, one old woman, and myself that witnesses. I mean, it just, the stuff you see down in the state of Florida now is off the chart. I have yet to get to Daytona and hang out there for a couple of nights because I want to go over to where the mothership is supposedly be. So there's one on the Daytona side of Florida, near Daytona and Jacksonville, East Coast, and opposite of the state in the Gulf, there's supposedly another mothership. So, but after a while, it does, like with all this, people saying all these different lights and stuff, it becomes comical more so than, anything real. But for little kids, that stuff scares them. That rings really, really true. My youngest used to hear me do these shows, and she would say, is this dogman going to come and eat me tonight? I'm like, no, the dogman's not going to go 7 stories up and, travel like 100 miles, to New York City to go eat you. So you're good. You're safe. She would get nervous about it. But when she had her first UFO experience, she was pretty stoked about it. Which is good because education is the key. You don't have to fear it. I'm going to go back to 3-Eye Atlas. Apparently there was somebody that remote viewed it. I have not remote viewed 3-Eye Atlas. I'm not going to waste my time with it. And they said that it's filled with millions of Dracos that are coming here, and they're going to stop short of getting to Earth. This person said, and they're going to send drones, these spheres with multiple Dracos in there to pick up the star seeds.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either, but I'm just trying to figure out, like, where are all these people just pulling this stuff out of? It's
about popularity and clickbait now, Brian. I mean,
no, I know that, but like, what are you getting from it?
Clicks, likes, views, which equals money.
Whatever. It's, you know what? I posted a video of the weather in Mount Washington, up in Mount Washington.
Yeah.
And the snow and the wind and record temperature. And I just posted because it was cool. We did the Mount Washington, climbed to the top in the car, run through the clouds and came back down. It could be 110 degrees down on the bottom of that mountain. You go up the mountain, there's snow. So it's the strongest wind gusts on Earth were recorded there. Even stronger than Everest. But I post that video. It's 56 seconds. I got almost 2 million people and I'm like, I'm just trying to figure it out because I posted other videos of legit, sightings and evidence and what have you. and you don't get anything from it. So why would someone make a video and say that they're, well, what's the end game for that? Usually it's monetary. What kind of fame and fortune are you going to get out of just randomly picking stuff like that? I mean, there has to be an end game to it. Like if Mr. Beast said it, it'd be a totally different thing. It'd be like 25 million people going, did you see that video? They're Draconians coming. They're going to take our souls. Darth Vader said he's going to melt my skull if I don't take Lorraine under the enchantment of the sea dance. It depends. I guess it depends on who you are. But strange UFO experience for me, or alien. I used to do twice a month, a live meetup for people to discuss their UFO experience, paranormal, whatever, in a really, great, wonderful environment. No judgment. Everybody was nice and free. We did it in New York, Yonkers, New York. Then we did it up at Red Hook, New York, which is up by where FDR's old Campobello, I believe it was. And we had a guy, really, really nice guy, tall, blonde hair, Nordic tall, named John. And I'm giving a presentation in front of everybody. John's sitting in the corner, and I could see him again, I'm, turning back and forth to engage with the people that show up at the location. John's vibrating. Like vibrating. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. And I go over to my buddy and go, take a look at John. Dude, he's vibrating. And my buddy goes, what are you talking about? And then he looks, he goes, holy crap, he's vibrating. The only thing I can think of is John was an extraterrestrial. Who the hell vibrates? I mean, literally vibrating. And after that, we had a couple of people that were government based that were visiting. Matter of fact, my buddy got pulled over a couple of days later, and they harassed him, and they said, you gave a great presentation last week. Stick to the UFOs. Nobody believes that stuff anyhow. And it was weird. I've never in my life saw somebody. The guy's physically there, and he literally is vibrating as if he was sitting on one of those shake tables.
Yes.
And I'm like he's phasing in and out, and I'm like, what the heck was that all about? And he's one of the few people that he came there. He told his story about UFOs coming into his front yard and landing in his front yard. And we had pictures, and there were burn marks, and it was like those old craft type of thing. Perfect circle, and then little circles within the circle, and it was all burnt. And he had soil, and it was radioactive. So it's weird when you meet people like that.
No kidding.
And then you try to get them on,
Let's talk about the missing time aspect of everything, because that story does get into missing time.
Yeah.
And I have never, fortunately, had missing time. Have you?
Yeah, lucky you. Yes,
Yeah.
twice. Once was in 2015 with an investigation. We had a UFO encounter, and then it seemed to last, maybe a minute, 2 minutes. That's what it seemed like. And then we walked, 10 minutes, and we got to our next location. At the UFO encounter, we did a time check. It was 9:15. We got back to the location. It only took us 10 minutes to get there. So 9:15 plus 20 plus 10 is 20, it's 25 after. We were there for it seemed like we were there for 45 minutes. So it shouldn't have been more than 10 something. And then we went to call our psychic. And I said, my buddy goes, time check. And it was 10 to 12. There's no way. We missing all that time. Then I had like a blue tongue and a metallic taste in my mouth. I was coughing stuff up. The other guy had a fat lip, was something in it. And one of the other people was screaming. But that was about 2 hours of missing time. Then the second one was 4 years ago when we were driving back and forth during the lockdown to look at places in Florida. When I was in North Carolina, I had the whole family there. You know, my two daughters, their mom, myself, and I was at near Fort Benning. And I'm only an hour. No, Fayetteville. I was in Fayetteville. So I'm an hour away from South Carolina where I was staying. It's literally an hour. It was 11:45. I should be back in South Carolina at no later than 1 o'clock in the morning. And they're passed out, and I wanted a cigarette, and they shut the highway down. So we're on a country road, rural road, 2 lanes. So I shut the lights off, pull the car over. I'm seeing this weird object that's twinkling, red, orange, green, blue, purple. Get out, smoking a cigarette, and I'm watching it, and it bursts, and it's doing the vibration, going up and down, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, burst, bigger burst. And the next thing you know, I don't know how it was. I wake up in my car and I'm like, I don't remember getting here. What the heck's going on? I hit my phone and I was using Waze and it says, do you want to resume your drive? I said, yeah. Clicked it and I started driving and I had to stop immediately because it said I would be at my destination at 4 a.m. So all of us got abducted. And what's interesting is, I do not believe it's the RH factor, just so you people know. It's the blood type. And 2 of us are O positive and 2 are O negative in this group. So one of my kids is O positive, the other one's O negative. Their mom is O positive and I'm O negative or something like that, vice versa. Pretty interesting. My youngest, when we got to the hotel the next day, she had a BB mark on her shoulder blade in the back with a little blood and on her pajamas. And then my oldest, when we got back a week later to New York, she had a bloody nose. She had something come out of her nose that was, I don't know, maybe as thick as a cup, like no thicker than something like that. Like something like this size, a little bit smaller. Something like that came out of her nose. Looked like a pad, like some kind of surgical thing, but it felt rough. It felt spongy. I took it and I wanted to get it to somebody to investigate it and do DNA and do testing, but every time I try to do it, something moved me to not do it. And eventually the sample died and it was, it got destroyed. But I don't want to know what happens in missing time. I would like to know what happens. I don't want to know about the bad stuff, anything painful that they do to you or whatever. But if you have, I don't know, offspring that were created from parts of you, it'd be interesting to, see them. It would also be interesting to talk to whoever your abductors are and go, what the hell are you doing? Why me? I don't know if you would ask the same question. You would probably
I never get any answers.
What did you say that again?
I never get any answers.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. They never do give you answers. And it's really weird because there are other people that are a little bit more, they're allowed to remember more. Maybe they do give us answers, but we don't remember it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we're purposely turned off until when they need us to turn back on, and then it'll be like, oh my God, I know what to do. Go there and play with something. But then there are other people that are, seeing these slides going by, and Romanek, for example, drawing engines in element 115 and equations. There's no way he should know what they are. He's got like a 5th grade math level, and he's writing complex, like graduate level equations. It would be weird. I would like it though.
Have you ever thought about getting regressed?
I did. I thought about having the first encounter done by Rosemary Ellen Guiley. And then I talked to another person who's been multiple abductee, and he was in the West Coast. I don't know if he's still alive. And he goes, "How do you sleep?" I said, "I don't really sleep well." He goes, "No, do you have nightmares?" I said, No. I don't have nightmares. I just can't sleep well." He goes, "Don't regress. Because once you open that up, there's no closing that Pandora's box. And you have no idea what they did to you. So when you get regressed, you get to feel what they've done to you. So I'm going to think they're a lot more clinical in their liberating samples from people. So like, they don't care about your pain. It's like Mutual of Omaha Wild Kingdom. They dart you, they go there, they shove something in places and you don't want anything shoved. Take your samples, make babies, push you back out, and that's it. That may hurt. And when they stick some of these implants, which are silicone based in the body, there are other implants you can start using now that are nanoparticle based and get involved into your gene system that you can't get them out.
I think that would be kind of creepy for somebody to regress, find out that they are literally on the table getting some sort of alignment going on, a new oil lube filter tire rotation. I think that'd be terrible.
It would be horrific. The equivalent of that is, depending on how old you are, I've seen this happen. If anybody, when you get to a certain age for men, they always tell you to do a colonoscopy. Most places knock you out for it. It's very uncomfortable. Imagine waking up while it's happening. Now multiply that times 10 or 100. I don't want to go through that. Don't want to go through that crap. Nope. I already have my own problems. Why would you want more of that? I would want to fly the ship though. That's something I would, we just fly the ship once. Come on. Just show me how you fly it.
Brian, we're down to our final 30 seconds. Tell everybody where they can find one of your many podcasts.
The only podcast. Third Eye Live is broadcast off of my YouTube profile, Bryan Bowden. So @ BROYAN BOWDEN. Wednesdays, 8 o'clock to 10 p.m. Eastern.
Love it. Bryan Bowden, everybody. We wave goodbye to him and we get ready for Swamp Dweller and the Wizard in hour 3.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy, we're clear. Thank you for a good night.
Thank you very much. Paramorph, thank you as well. And prayers, healing, recovery, blessings sent to everybody.
All right, we'll let you get back to your next podcast starting in about an hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's called Sleep.
The Sleep Podcast with Bryan Bowden.
Followed by How to Train Your Australian.
Hi, Bryan.
I'm going to get you.
All right, buddy. Love you, buddy.
Hi. Love you too.
Later. There's the wizard. Wizard, I'll be right back. Just want to drop in there with you with that nice shirt on you got.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Be right back, buddy. Hey there, Wizard. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Doing great. Finishing out the week.
Nice. Nice. We got 45 seconds. All right. Big thank you tonight to Joe, Tony, Joe, Tim for the gift of a membership, Mel, Joe, Blue Cruz, Jules gifting a membership, Joe, Walter, Joe, Candace, Creepy Pasta, Joe, Paramarv, Kitty Cattywack, Kimberly, Mama Catherine, and Mel WD40. Thank you for the love tonight. Appreciate your love and support. And here we go, everybody. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Greatly appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Kalology. Kalology is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night. Right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp.
You can call me Sinclair or Midnight, whatever you prefer. I'm a country kid from California. It's not all movies and surfing out here, just big farms and ranches mainly. But there are also forests. Deep, dark forests at that. I've had my share of the paranormal and cryptids, and I've got some pretty interesting stories to tell you, but I thought I'd start with this one. Now, I grew up camping and hunting. It's pretty big in my family, and we've hunted the California forest and mountains for generations, especially the farther back areas. A couple of years back, me and my dad, a couple of my cousins, and uncles went on this big camping trip, kind of like a guy's retreat or something. It's a bit of a tradition here. On the first night, everything seemed calm as we sat around the fire, but suddenly, one of my cousins perked up and said, "Hey, y'all hear that?" We stopped for a second and went quiet. There it was, a snapping out in the dark. It sounded farther off. My dad and uncles thought it might be a bear, as it was the fall time and they'd be out, but we all knew better. A bear in the woods doesn't want attention, and trust me, you'd never even know it was there unless you knew what to look or listen for. We stayed on alert the entire time. There have been rumors about this region for a while now, rumors about Bigfoot. Some of us were believers, but a lot of the cousins weren't. But if you stay back in the woods long enough, you'd know the surroundings try real hard not to be found. Going on, this continued for probably 3 days straight. But each time, it was like it was getting closer. Almost sizing us up, so to speak. What with there being like 15 of us in all. But then it got worse. The thing got real close one night and my dad decided to end this. He fired the 12-gauge shotgun in the air, and the footsteps disappeared into the dark. Then, that night, 3 loud knocks started coming at all hours of the night. It was like you would close your eyes and drift off and blam, a massive knock. We weren't leaving though. We're too tough for that, you know? We were more curious, as I like to look at it. By the 6th night, everything went quiet and we thought it was over. We had guys stay out in pairs to guard, and it was my turn with my cousin Kay. Kay was relaxed, but I couldn't shake that feeling at all. I felt like I was being watched. Then suddenly, A rock flew out of nowhere and smashed into the middle of the fire, launching sparks everywhere. We woke everyone up as a roar filled the night sky. Everyone was up, and every once in a while, we got pelted by large stones. Enough was enough, and we unleashed our bloodhounds, and they chased this thing for almost 3 miles in those dense woods. By the time we caught up to the hound, they were lapping at a rock formation. It was something like I've never seen before. After some time, we found an opening hidden under the brush. We thought it was time to end it all, but we thought better of it, at least for that day. I'll continue sharing this story if this one gets read, I guess. There are many more encounters with these Bigfoots and other things in these woods. Thank you for sharing my story.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories there for you to listen to. From the swamp to the stars, time for the UFO report. Here's the wizard.
Space Out Radio presents a UFO report. The UFO wizard makes his presence known. Just running, just ready to go.
Josh Rutledge, aka the UFO Wizard, back in Spaced Out Radio Land with us. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. It's been a pretty good week. Not a lot going on UFO wise, but some interesting stuff happening. Some mic drops.
Sorry to cut you off there. I apologize.
No, go ahead.
Let you speak, and I'll shut up until you talk. Until you're done talking, that's for sure. I saw an interesting story the other day on Creepy Acres on Facebook. I love that page, and it was about in 1998 in China near an Air Force base where they had a incident with a giant UFO jellyfish.
Okay.
And then, the one that happened, I believe it was in Afghanistan or Syria.
Yep.
It was just absolutely creepy.
Well, and we talked about it, I think, a few weeks ago. I think we talked about it on here, but I could have talked about it with somebody else. But all the reports that were in California of the jetpack man, a few years ago, those could have been jellyfish UAP.
Could have been.
So,
what do you got for us tonight?
A little bit of conspiracy theory, new conspiracy theory, if you will. So 3-Eye Atlas, we know that it's like basically where it is right now is on the other side of the sun from us. We can't see it. If you go out in the daytime and you look at the sun, number one, don't look at the sun. But if you were to look at the sun, if you could see through the sun on the other side, you would see 3-Eye Atlas. But one of the really interesting things is when it flew by Mars recently, the Mars orbiter has a 5-centimeter lens on its camera, and it took a bunch of pictures when it flew by Mars. And the European Space Agency just released some images that they captured, but their camera only has a 1.5 centimeter lens. So the images on the Mars orbiter would be significantly better, and it was only 30 million kilometers from Mars when it flew by. But NASA is telling Avi Loeb and the rest of the scientific community, sorry, we can't release the photos right now due to the government shutdown.
You're taunting me with NASA things, You're taunting me.
I don't understand how an independent science agency that, yes, is funded partially by the U.S. government, but it's an independent agency. It's not a federal agency. How is it affected by the government shutdown to the point where they can't release images to the scientific community.
Well, and that is the conspiracy behind it, Josh, is realistically, are they hiding something? Are they hiding the fact that it's a craft? Are they hiding the fact that there may be something near it that they don't want us to see? What are they doing? I mean, you even go before the government shutdown. One of the images that NASA sent to the public that they released that they were apparently so excited about was this horrific pixelation picture that looked worse than an Atari 2600 game from 1984.
Yeah.
Okay. And here they are claiming, oh, look at the coloring. Look at this. Like prior to that image, they were giving and releasing extremely close-up images best that they could of what 3i Atlas looked like. And then all of a sudden they go to this pixelation garbage, which didn't make sense at all. And now all of a sudden, as it was passing Mars, where they could have got a good photograph of it, they can't do it because of the government shutdown.
Well, and Avi's whole point is that the main, like, I guess, individual who is the recipient of all the images from that camera on the orbiter is a professor at the University of Arizona. But apparently he can't release the images until the NASA press office signs off on them. And that's what the holdup is with the government shutdown. But why does the press office need to give approval to release images for scientific study?
Or why do they need to, if you want to put the tinfoil on, why do they need to have the images go through the press office for rocks?
Yeah. The other thing is that, and this was just recently, a couple of days ago, the organization that tracks asteroids and meteorites and other things that are, and comets and things that could pose a threat to the Earth, recently added 3i Atlas to their list of things they're going to observe from November until January.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. They're not helping anybody. I mean, I don't care what anybody says, man. NASA is in it for itself and the militarized zone. See, what a lot of people don't know about NASA is really two organizations. It's the publicity side. Look, we send things up into space. We used to have shuttles. We used to have rockets. But we've put people in space. We put people on the moon. They're still riding that high. Look at us. Yay, NASA. But NASA has a very dark, nefarious side too, which is spying, which is putting up secret satellites. Their UFO studies, which we know they have done.
Yep.
Blocking their astronauts and their team members from talking about UFO encounters from their astronauts and test pilots. I mean, I'm going to find this story quickly here.
Sure. While you're doing that, I'll add in a little extra information. So, in a recent interview that Russ Coulthart did, and we've talked about Russ or Ross before, but he said he recently had the opportunity to tour NASA at the Marshall Space Center, and at one point he saw several egg-shaped craft moving across the feed. And when he asked the director about it, the director cut the feed.
Yes. That's normal. That's normal for what they do.
Again, just echoes what you're talking about with the two sides, the duality of NASA.
Well, here's an interesting story. This is one of my favorites. If you don't think NASA is covering things up, during the X-15 program, which was a rocket launched from a B-52 bomber, Most notably, Major Robert White, who in July 1962 reported seeing unidentified objects keeping pace with his X-15 at hypersonic speeds. Other pilots include Joe Walker, also described seeing unidentified objects, and cameras aboard the X-15 reportedly captured some of this footage. Although its current availability is unclear, while some reports suggest the incidents were misidentified ice crystals or debris, others remain at a point of debate. Now, this incident by Robert White, July 17th, 1962, he's flying about Mach 6 or 7. So that's about 6 to 7 times the speed of sound. Okay. He's riding this aircraft at 315,000 feet. There is not a project in the world outside of NASA or any space agency that could fly at 315,000 feet. Okay.
Yep.
And this thing is keeping pace with his at cockpit side. He's literally looking out his window at this UFO. And it's keeping pace with him before it all of a sudden diverts off and takes off in a blip of a second. Gone. Where's the video? Where's the radio communication? This is why I think NASA is a farce. Because when Bill Nelson stood on that stage saying, we got to go look at them UAPs. Look at those Navy pilots. Not a single journalist did their job and said, Bill, what's in your closet? What are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Is NASA FOIA-able?
I would believe so. They are a government arm.
But they're not a government agency. They're privately founded, but publicly funded.
Then I would have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's an interesting loophole. Kind of like how we can't get FOIA stuff for any of the, contracting companies. We can also, maybe can't get it for NASA because of the way that they're structured. The other thing I was going to mention, you talk about the astronauts not being able to really talk about things. I always thought it was interesting that Edgar Mitchell, founded the Institute of Noetic Sciences to research what he called inner space, which was the connection between basically consciousness and intuition and human potential and science. So, here's an astronaut that probably saw some things, and it encouraged him to form an organization to research the relationship between consciousness and science.
Very true. Very true. I mean, Edgar Mitchell, they don't even talk about Edgar Mitchell. NASA doesn't even talk about his involvement. They don't talk about anything outside that he was the sixth man on the moon. They don't talk about his encounters. I had one former NASA person say to me one day, I was talking to UFOs with him, and he worked for NASA for 14 years as an engineer, mainly during the shuttle programs. He said, Dave, if you go back to the Apollo missions, when they brought the go-kart up there, he goes, watch the go-kart. If you go, because you could go track online the tracks of the go-kart, you see it go up one of the steep, or not very steep, but they go up one of the craters, and then all of a sudden it's like there is a panic. It backs down and races out of there. He goes, nobody has ever asked why. I'm like, Why?
Yeah. Well, and it really makes me wonder why now all of a sudden we're going back to the moon. Like, we haven't been to the moon in what, 60 years? 70 years? No, late 70s, I think, is the last mission to the moon. So somewhere, it's too late for math. But it's been a long time. Why are we now going back? Did we have like a what's it called? Where you can't get close to somebody, like an order that the court issues. I can't think of what it's called right now. But basically, did we have some sort of a protection accord where we wouldn't go to the moon? And it has expired, and now we're allowed to go to the moon again.
Well, that is, something that we need to figure out, because the main question was the Apollo missions just a political stunt? Because that's what NASA tries to hide behind. It was a political stunt because the Russians were getting real strong with their rocketry, and that would obviously lead to eventual weapons like cruise missiles and everything like that. And they had to get ahead, and they thought it would look really bad for the world if the communists made it to the moon first. And
but like, yes, I agree. The first one, maybe the second one, you could say that's a political stunt. But we went, what, like 7 or 8 times? I don't know the exact number of the times we landed on the moon, but it's more than 2. Like, if it started out as a political stunt, that's fine. But then that would mean that we found something that kept us coming back until a point where we said, we're not going to go back anymore, but we are going to operate in space.
Well, then you have to also take a look at, too, my friend. So we got about 90 seconds to go. What about the alleged secret missions? Apollo 18, 19, 20, and 21. And that's where they allegedly, now a lot of people believe this is a hoax and a conspiracy, but that's where I believe it was Apollo 20 that they accidentally came across a craft on the moon in a previous mission, and they landed a lander beside that craft, and that's where they got the depiction of what they call the Mona Lisa.
Yeah.
Which would talk about the Mona Lisa.
Yeah, so that's the one where they supposedly found this like mummified alien or not quite human specimen, and they performed an examination of her on the moon. This is what you're talking about, Dave?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a fascinating idea if it happened. But it's also, I don't know, it just seems really, the thing about those is, like, why do we know about those, but we don't know about all the other things that may have happened in the actually claimed, Apollo missions? Like,
hold that thought, Josh. We're going to go to break. The UFO wizard, Josh Rutledge, continues with the UFO report right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
All right, buddy, we're clear.
I love this shirt, but it shrunk. It shrunk in the washing machine.
That's what I say about all my clothes too.
What are you trying to say?
I'm just using an excuse of myself.
I knew I shouldn't have eaten that whole family size pack of Oreos last night.
Mm-hmm. Oh God. I went and I had to go to the corner store today, and I went and found they haven't had Swiss rolls there for ages. And when I saw them there, I'm walking by the aisle to get to the cashier. There's them damn Swiss rolls. There's nothing more than I love is a good Swiss roll. That rolled up chocolate with that icing in between.
Yep.
Oh my God. Dave likes a good Swiss roll.
My favorite are the whoopie pies. You ever had whoopie pie?
I don't know what that is.
It's like, imagine you have a chocolate muffin and you cut the top of the muffin off of
Hold
two
on,
muffins.
I'm looking at this. They look like a giant Oreo.
Well, but it's like cake.
Yeah.
So it's like two muffin tops
Oh yeah.
sandwiched together with a cream filling in the middle.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. It's the Wilford Brimley diabetes, meme comes to mind.
Yep. I get
Yep.
you there. Yeah, the old Wilford Brimley diabetes, man.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. You know what I'm happy about? 8 days left in the pumpkin spice trend.
Oh. Yeah, I never really understood why it ended at the end of October.
Because Halloween's over.
Yeah, but why can't it be a fall item? Go all the way through to the start of like the early December. You have pumpkin pie up until, well, we usually have pumpkin pie even around Christmas time. So
I don't know, man. I'm just going to be happy when it's over.
yeah, wife and I went to Starbucks a couple weeks ago, and I got a caramel cream cold brew, which normally I'm just a black coffee guy, but I love their caramel cream cold brew. And my wife got a pumpkin spice cold brew, and I got them mixed up, and I was very disappointed. I drank a little bit of the pumpkin spice one. I was like, "What is this? This is not my caramel."
Last time I went to a Starbucks was about 10 years ago. And any coffee shop, doesn't matter what it is, any coffee shop. The first thing I do when I get to the front is I say, I don't speak coffee. Do you have anybody here who can speak English? And they look at you weird, like you're the oddball.
Yeah, my wife always gives me guff because whenever we go to Starbucks, I ask for a small, a medium, or a large. I don't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All of their size names mean large, though.
Yeah.
Grande is a large. Venti is a large. Trenta is a large. They all mean large. So they're just messing with you.
I don't like it. I don't like it a bit. All right, we got about 35 seconds. Thank you to all of our amazing super chatters tonight. We greatly appreciate your love and support. Thank you very much. And that's about all the energy I have right now. I'm sorry. We got about 15 seconds. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us as we continue on with the UFO report with the Wizard coming up momentarily. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here's the Wizard. It's the UFO report here on Spaced Out Radio. Josh, we're thankful to have you here, man.
I'm glad to be here. I really enjoy every opportunity. Twice a week I get to be on the show. We have great conversations. I'm sure it'll be fantastic when we actually have some real UAP details that start dropping and hitting eventually, hopefully. It's been I need to have a tracker where I log the time between the last UAP hearing, because like I said, they have one about every 6 months, so we're just counting down the days until the next one, I think.
Well, we're gonna see if it happens. Brandon Fugel recently tweeted out that he thinks disclosure is dead. He thinks that it's not going anywhere. He thinks that if anything, disclosure is going to happen with the will of the people and not the will of the government, because the military-industrial complex, and I'm paraphrasing here, basically has spiderwebbed its way through every state, every governing body, and even into other countries to control what is happening. And he thinks that it's time to put the disclosure push to bed from a governmental side of things. What is your thoughts on this?
I feel like he's been listening to your show, because this is what I've been saying for every time I've been on for the last year and a half. I mean, I agree. It's, we are never going to hear what a lot of people want to hear that would be substantial disclosure from the government. It's never going to happen. There is nothing they can gain from telling the American people or the world any of the information they know. Nothing. And so because they can gain nothing, they will disclose nothing. So yeah, I agree. It is a done topic. But we'll continue to have the hearings every 6 months, because now, especially, some U.S. politicians are starting to use it as a platform. I can't remember one of the people that I had her written down, but then we didn't talk about it. But one of the people who was relatively new elected to Congress, she is actually running on the platform that she is the person who can tell us about the aliens. So now it's become a political platform. And so because of that reason, it will continue to be in the political cycle. But yes, we will never, ever, not in a million years, will we have anyone from the government voluntarily tell us what they know about UAP, ever.
Do you think that's a governmental decision or a military-industrial complex decision?
At this point, I don't think that they're separated. I think it's a little bit of the tail wagging the dog. We talked about it before. There's so much money that flows into the government from these contractors, and so much money that flows from the government back to the contractor. They're stuck in a loop of a loop of ever increasing benefits for each other, and so they're not going to sacrifice that.
I would agree with you. I mean, they're not going to sacrifice any sort of imagery or anything, because they definitely need to know that they have control of what people like you and me are seeing.
Yep. And you know, and if you really want to get, down the conspiracy rabbit hole, most of the media of how we consume our information and news, most of it is really controlled by, 2 or 3 different hedge funds. And most of the people who are controllers of those hedge funds are also stockholders in these big, general contractors that have these federal contracts. So they have all kinds of lobbyists that go and pull the strings and make sure that they get the deals. And then I'm sure, I have no evidence of this, but I'm sure that money finds its way back into the campaigns of the people in Congress that help grease the skids.
It is amazing, isn't it? I mean, you would think, like somebody like Brandon Fugel, who has literally put, if we can believe him, and I think he's being honest with it, put millions of dollars of his own money into trying to solve the phenomena. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's hired what he believes is a top-notch team of scientists. He's brought in any piece of equipment and funded any piece of equipment that they feel they need. I mean, I know there are people out there who think that he's just doing this for the television show, that there's nothing going on out there. It's all a bunch of malarkey. And it's just a real estate investment that he's taking advantage of. But there are others like Robert Bigelow who believe that this is something that has been going on for decades since he bought the ranch.
Well, and if you, Brandon Fugel did a interview on another podcast. It was like the Sean Ryan show or something like that. I watched, it was a really like a 2-hour interview of Brandon Fugel. And really, they spent most of the time talking about how Brandon got to be, where he is today, as far as just, not necessarily in the UFO world, but just in general in business. And then they talk a little bit about the ranch and the show. And he said that, in that interview, he said, I bought the ranch because I wanted to, I went out there and I visited the ranch and I had an experience. And so because of that, I bought the ranch and I wanted to know more about the experience that I have. And this part right here, I think all of us can relate to. Anybody who's had an experience, it takes over your life almost. You want to know more about the experience you had. You want to try to uncover the secrets, if you will. So Brandon just happens to be in a place financially where he can buy the ranch to start that investigation. Also in that interview, he says that history approached him about doing the show, not the other way around. And he said he would, under the conditions that he gets final view of all the edits, and he gets, and it is ensured that the coverage that is done of the stuff they do on the ranch is presented as close to scientifically aligned as possible, with the understanding that it still has to be, attractive for people to tune in and watch. But he wanted to make sure that the science wasn't lost in the, televising of their experiments. So that to me says that Brandon is into it for the investigation, and secondarily is interested in it from a TV perspective.
I would agree with you. I mean, let's face it, the television show definitely probably subsidizes a lot of the costs of what's going on there. I mean, even if it covered a third of his bills, it's still a big chunk of change there.
Yeah.
And I agree with you on that. If History Channel came up to him and said, "Hey, we got something here," why not take advantage of it? You or I would.
Oh yeah. Well, and I think it's really interesting. I mean, you talk about some of the cost. I mean, Travis Taylor, when he first joined he was like a he came on vacation or something, but now he's a full-time staff person of the ranch. He lives in like a trailer on the ranch. As far as I know, he's nonstop. When he's not also working on the with Arrow, he's doing experiments on the ranch. They probably do experiments. I'm sure that there are months of the year when it's too cold or it's snow covered or whatever, and they can't get out and do stuff. But I would say in the months where they can, they're probably doing experiments nonstop. And we just we get what happens to make off the cutting room floor and into our homes every for about 8 episodes, 10 episodes a season. And I mean, heck, History Channel, they spend a lot of time recapping the last episode. I mean, even when they take a commercial break, even if you're watching it without commercials, they still come back from a commercial break and tell you the same 35 seconds worth of stuff that you just got done watching before you went to a commercial break. So they chew up a lot of time with just that kind of, editing of, I don't know, crap, for lack of a better word. So we don't actually get, I would say on a given episode, we probably get about 25 to 30 minutes of actual good information. And that they're doing more experiments than that.
I think the overall aspect of it all with Brandon Fugel is I don't think Brandon, for whatever reason, has given the full truth of the aspect out there. Now, whether that's because he is turning over information to the government or he just doesn't feel that because he's a private entity that he has to, there's a number of aspects as to why he probably hasn't. And I think Brandon at times gets a little frustrated that people aren't accepting the trust me bro answers that come out of Skidwalker Ranch. That being said, him being a private entity, he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have to be public. He could be as quiet as Robert Bigelow was when he owned it and nothing came out of it and everything just seemed ominous. Your thoughts?
I agree. I mean, I think that, he was nice, if you want to think of it that way, in letting History Channel come in and film and include stuff for a show for us to participate in. But yeah, he doesn't have to let us in. He doesn't have to let anybody in. I'm sure, Dragon would be more than happy to keep everybody off the property. He just, he doesn't have to include us on any of this. I think it's nice though that he does. I mean, and I think it's nice that they actually include like, evidence in what they present in the season. The orb that flew into the mesa and then departed the mesa from a different angle that was captured by the helicopter. I mean, the cone of LiDAR data that seemed to kind of have an intersect point, about 40 to 50 feet above the triangle. And then there was that mass that they captured. And they don't have to include any of that information in what they put out in the History Channel show, but they do, because I think A, they want to entice people to continue to watch, but B, because I think they are making headway. But where they get the most opportunity, I think this is where Travis comes into play, is if anybody publishes any type of papers. And those things are probably not going to, publishing papers in journals are not sexy. And so they're not going to make it into a History Channel show. But, I'm just curious, and I might go after the show and take a look. Has Travis Taylor published any papers recently in any type of journal that potentially could be related to the work they're doing in Skinwalker? It'd be an interesting little search to run and see what's out there.
6 minutes to go. What do you got for us?
Yep. So this is a little old. It happened October 12th, but I wanted to bring it up then, and we've had a lot of good discussion since then. But a Swedish website had an article, and there were some a fishing fleet was off the coast of Lulay in the morning on Sunday on October 12th. And they saw a light over the water, and then another, and then another. And one witness said it was between 50 to 100 lights. They had different colors, white and red and green. One that was close to the water looked like it had a searchlight under it. When they looked at it through binoculars, they were all silent, and witnesses could not be sure if they moved or not. Either they were still or they were moving very slowly, because the boats were moving so it was hard to tell. Bottom line, 50 to 100 unidentified lights over the ocean off the coast of northern Sweden on October 12th, 2025. Now, you couple that with, in a recent interview, Tim Burchett, who's been the guy from Tennessee, who's been, on all the UAP hearing stuff. He received testimony. This is from an interview that he gave to Tucker Carlson around the same time. And in an interview, he said that they had testimony of football field sized UFOs traveling 200 miles per hour in 6 different deep ocean sites. Tucker Carlson said, is it possible for any man-made machine to go anywhere near 200 miles per hour underwater? Tim Burchett said, not with our technology. So I wonder if the UAP topic is shifting from aerial phenomena to underwater phenomena.
Where Megalodon comes into play.
Yeah.
Just going to say that.
Loch Ness.
I would like to know why all of a sudden all of these reports that are coming out recently, they all seem to be football field-sized craft. Yeah. That's massive.
That is.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
That's massive.
It's, you probably fit what, two 747s, tail to nose, at least on a single football field. I mean, that's huge. And to be that big underwater, I mean, that's a lot of water displacement. Just from a submarine perspective, like the amount of pressure of the water pushing against a craft that size would be substantial. And, Tim talks about 6 deep ocean sites. So this is not like, it's 50 feet below the water. I mean, they're way down there at crushing pressures, traveling at 200 miles per hour, the size of a football field. I mean, that's just
even the ones that are flying in the sky, Josh, how can you have a craft that side that shows 0 signs of propulsion?
So there's a theory that they basically create a gravitational bubble, and they fall forward. So they don't actually move. They create a bubble in front of the craft, and the craft falls into that gravitational bubble. So it's not propelling itself, it's being pulled into the bubble, and then the next bubble is created, and it's pulled into that, and then the next bubble, and it's pulled into that, so on and so forth. And that's how it moves in any direction. When it needs to move a different direction, the bubble is formed a different way, and it falls into that bubble, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. We got about a minute and a half to go here with you tonight. And I want to say a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's always a pleasure to have the Wizard with us. Do us a favor, take a minute, tell everybody where they can find you, your podcast, and your Group MUFON.
Yep. All of anything you want to know about me, my podcast, books that I've written, radio show, any of that kind of stuff, you can find it all at my website, which is ourmysticjourneys.com. That's ourmysticjourneys.com. That's the jumping off point for everything you want to know about me.
It's what we love. It's what we love. Gave you a minute. You only took 12 seconds. Thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I wanted to see what else you could come up with at the time.
Well, here I thought you would tell everybody about your YouTube channel and where your MUFON group is and everything. But no. Just go to my website, get the hell off it, but stop asking me questions, Dave.
I try to keep it simple. I don't want to send you all over the place and you got 8,000 different things you got to remember. All you got to remember is ourmysticjourneys.com. You go there, you got access to it all, Dave. It's a smorgasbord of podcasts and radio shows and books and everything else.
The old smorgasbord. That's what we need right there. A good smorgasbord. I haven't had a good smorgasbord in a long time.
Or cornucopia, whichever.
Yes, true that. Josh, thank you very much. We'll talk to you next week, my friend, as we say goodnight to Josh and hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. If you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job, Josh.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
No problem, man.
Sorry, I only took 12 seconds for that.
We'll talk to you next week, my brother.
Yep. Have a good weekend. And hopefully, some UFO stuff happens over the weekend. So,
Oh, hopefully.
but we always have a good conversation no matter what's going on. So,
That's because you're so awesome, buddy. I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, brother.
All right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye. Josh Rutledge, everybody. One of the real cool guys in this field. What a great guy. For the rest of you, Grant Cameron will be here tomorrow night, So we appreciate Grant doing that. And thank you for a good show tonight, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you to all of our super chatters. You're the best. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.